Computers are easy. People are hard. If you're a software engineer, I'd be willing to bet you've had a thought along these lines at some point in your career. And if you've transitioned from being a software engineer to being a manager, then you're likely experiencing the truth of these words every day. In this video, I'm going to explain what I mean by the words and what you can do about them. Hey, how's it going? This is Scruffy Leadership, a YouTube channel about management and leadership aimed particularly at software engineers. My name's Ben, and I've been a leader and a manager in the tech industry in the UK and the US for over 25 years. Before that, I was a software engineer, so I've made the transition from being an engineer to being a manager myself, and I've also helped dozens of other people do it successfully. So what do I mean when I say computers are easy and people are hard? I had a manager once who, whenever anyone was faced with a seemingly intractable bug, would say, "It's just a computer. How hard can it be?" And he was right. The point is that computers behave in an almost completely predictable way. Okay, I say almost completely just because I'm sure if I said completely predictable, you'd point out things like buffer overflows and other unpredictable aspects of computers. But even these are kind of predictable to a degree. If you write your code badly, then yeah, there'll be unpredictable behaviors. But if you write code well, your program will behave predictably. In contrast, no matter what you do, people are almost entirely unpredictable. I'm sure there's someone in your life that you know so well that you think you can predict everything they'll say or do in a given situation. But if you really think about it, you'll have to admit that it's not true at all, and that, even an identical twin can surprise their sibling. And it's this unpredictability that makes people hard. Imagine if people behaved in a completely deterministic way. In a given situation, if you say a specific sentence to someone, anyone, they'll respond in a predetermined and predictable way. And not only is this not true for all people, it's not even true for a single person. No matter how many times you have a particular interaction with someone, there's always the possibility that the next time you have that interaction, they'll behave differently. Our behavior is determined by so many factors. Part of it is our genes and our upbringing, sure, but it's also shaped by all our experiences, and particularly the experiences we've just had. And not just our interactions with other people and things and places, but also our internal thought processes. All of these things combine together to determine how you'll respond to a particular situation. Now let's make that even more complicated. When you're a person's manager, the way that person interacts with you is going to be shaped not just by all the things I've mentioned already, but also by what they want from you, what they think you want from them, as well as things like how annoyed they are at the fact that you didn't give them what they wanted in your last meeting, or how nervous they are of upsetting you after the last time you yelled at them. Oh, and by the way, if you're yelling at your reports, stop it. It's never a good idea. See my video on psychological safety to find out why. I'll link it in the description below. And now let's further extend this thinking to people that you don't meet with regularly. So, you make an innocent request of a colleague that you don't speak to very often, and they act as if you've asked them to give you a kidney. And perhaps you were asking on behalf of your report, and now you have to go back to your report to explain why you can't get them what they want. The reality is that in situations like this, there's almost certainly a way forward, a way of getting what you and your report want without taking the other person's kidney. But the point is that finding that way is not easy. It's not just a matter of working away at it, finding the right formula. It requires skill, but also it requires luck. If you happen to catch your colleague at, just the right moment, maybe they'll give you what you want without much of a fight. Or maybe you catch them at the moment that they're desperately trying to stop giving their kidneys away, and there's no way in the world they're going to agree to whatever it is you're asking for. This is one of the reasons that new managers, especially ones that have transitioned from being software engineers, make the classic mistake of putting on their headphones and concentrating on writing code and fixing bugs. It's easy. It's computers. Computers are easy, and all that managerial people stuff is hard and scary. Okay, it's all very well me telling you that people are hard, but what are you going to do about it? Well, the main things to remember are relationships and resilience. Almost everything you'll achieve as a manager will be the result of one or more relationships. Some of those will be relationships that you have with your reports, but many times it'll be relationships that you have with other people that you don't manage. And the relationships you build with those people are important. In most cases, probably not as important to you as your relationships with your reports, but still important. So you need to nurture those relationships. Treat everyone that you interact with respect and courtesy and kindness. Do your colleague a favor when they ask you for one, if the cost to you isn't too high. This isn't entirely self-serving, or at least not in a bad way. If you ask me, we should all be treating all our colleagues well, whether we think we might need something from them in the future or not. But if you do treat your colleagues well, then when the time comes, you'll probably find it an easier thing to ask them than if you've treated them badly. The other factor is resilience. This is about acknowledging that your colleagues are going to have off days. Although I hope you're always treated with respect and kindness by your colleagues, unfortunately, it probably won't always happen that way. And it's important not to let that get to you too much. If someone shouts at you and storms off, you'd have to be a robot not to feel upset and probably hurt. And I imagine most of us would find ourselves fuming for hours maybe afterwards, but that's completely normal. But what you mustn't do is let it cause you to give up or feel like you failed. You had a bad interaction, so now you need to think carefully about how to approach that person the next time. Don't see them as your newest enemy, see them as a potential ally. You just haven't figured out how to make them your ally yet, but you will. I should acknowledge at this point that there are some just truly unpleasant people in the world, and no doubt there'll be one or two of them where you work. If their role means you can't avoid them, then there's probably no point trying to get them to become your ally because you'll probably just be fighting a losing battle. So just engage with them in a business-like but polite way and try to keep your interactions with them to a minimum. But hopefully this kind of person is the rare exception, and even the real grouch who snaps when you ask them for something is actually a big softie at heart. So the point of all this is people are hard, but not impossible. There isn't a secret formula that gives you root access to every person you work with, but as long as you treat everyone with respect, courtesy, and professional kindness, you'll probably find that in most cases it doesn't take too much head scratching to find the right way to win someone over. But what if the person you can't win over is your report? Well, then the same stuff applies, but now you also need to find the right way and the right time to give them helpful feedback about their behavior. For tips on how to give effective feedback, check out this video. And if you found what I've said in this video useful, please do subscribe to the channel. I have lots more useful insights to share. And if you really found it useful, please hit the like button, which helps this video to reach more people like you that are looking for advice on becoming a better manager. Bye. See you soon.